Okay, just want to let you know that if you want some simple information about the human voice, both the anatomy and the physics of it, we have generated the National Center for Voice and Speech some nice material for the schools to get introduced to the human voice. So I'll be talking a little bit about the physics of sound making, and particularly three styles in contrast that are being researched quite heavily right now. One, of course, the classical, usually in opera and oratory and art song, and then musical theater, which is becoming quite a technique in and of itself these days, and then jazz, which has some of the components of both of the other in a way. So I'm going to contrast just in words here for a moment. The classical singing style is based on usually a large pitch range. Classical singers have to have at least 2 octaves or more. Vibrato is used throughout the production and not varied in terms of extent and rate. Registration, we usually talk about a chest register, a modal register, or there's another name for it, or the falsetto registration, or mixed registration. And in classical singing, that has to be seamless. The vowels are modified in classical singing in order to increase the intensity of the sound because it's unamplified, whereas that's not the case in jazz. The verbal message is usually secondary to the musical message in classical singing. Rhythm is also secondary to the melodic line. It's been said that if you can't sing legato, you can't sing. That is at least in the classical realm. And it's usually a skipping from vowel to vowel singing, with the consonants being secondary in emphasis. And the timbre often matches the strings or light woodwinds of the early 18th and early 19th century. And then aperiodic sounds, or dirty sounds, so to speak, are generally not used in the classical. But if we contrast that with jazz, you can usually get by with a somewhat more moderate pitch range. Vibrato is intermittent. Straight tone is mixed with the vibrato sounds. Registration is usually quite free. That is, you can use any register you want, and you can flip the registers if you like, but often it is a mixed production. Vowels are not modified to increase sound intensity. You use a microphone basically to do that. And the verbal and the musical message are equally important. Rhythm is the basic foundation for where it all begins. And you can sing on consonants and diphthongs. Frank Sinatra, for example, often basically sang a diphthong and a consonant all in a continuous fashion. You'd never find a classical singer doing that. Timbre often matches the heavier brass and percussion, and aperiodicity or noise sounds are used, but sparingly, not anywhere near as much as in hard rock. And then scatting allows the rhythmic and melodic and timbral virtuosity. So just a couple of iconic voices of jazz would be Sarah Vaughan, Louis Armstrong, Ella Fitzgerald, and Frank Sinatra. And rather than having playing these, I'd like to bring up Liz Johnson and have her just give a few live demonstrations of jazz singing. Ready? Yeah. I don't know if we have the right sound amplification here. I've never had a chance to try that. And apparently, yeah, go ahead.
Before I start, I'm gonna sing 2 songs for you. One is an original jazz piece, and then the second one is Summertime, so you get a little flavor of something that you're used to. A couple things to remember. In jazz singing, jazz singers and instrumentalists are basically interchangeable. So everybody's a musician, everybody's kind of feeding off of one another. Jazz singers are trying to be like instrumentalists, instrumentalists are trying to be like jazz singers. We all kind of play together. So I'm going to sing the song and do some improvisation and then sing it again. And another thing to keep in mind with jazz is that improvisation, you can improv over a melody and a harmony as well. And so I'm going to try to do some of that, not lyrical improv like Ella or anything like that, but do a little bit of improv the whole way through. So. And you can imagine the band playing behind. Life's just a menu, order your choice. Find your favorite venue, sound your own voice. Turn to any page, now 103. Pick out the best company. Go window shopping, find what you like. Pick all kinds of flavors and try a new spice. You can even conjure your own recipes. That's what you want it to be. Now you can pack all your bags and then fly to your heart's content. You can play all your cards and then throw them all to the wind again. And no one is stopping the choices you make. Life's your little menu, all you can take. You just might discover you were born to create. This is the menu of so hush, little baby, don't you cry. One of these mornings, you're gonna rise up singing. Then you'll spread your wings and you'll take to the sky. But until that morning, there's nothing can harm you. With Mama and Daddy standing by. One of these mornings, you're gonna rise up singing, and then you'll spread your wings and you'll take to the sky. But until that morning, there's nothing can harm you. Now with your mama and daddy standing by. This is where we